Angela. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I was just wondering, what did you think when you heard about that phone call that I got from Kemp? Did that bring up any memories for you?
Hello?
Hello?
I lost you.
Oh, I was just asking you what you thought about that phone call from Kemp from jail. Did that bring up any memories for you?
Oh, God. I was on that other side of that fence before. Yeah. Seemed familiar, completely familiar. Remember, I called and said if it wasn't for you guys on the outside, I'd probably still be stuck on the inside.
That's for sure, and hopefully we're going to get Kemp out this week.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
God willing. So, what did you think about how, Kemp was questioning God? Some personal stuff.
Oh, that happens for sure. What I liked of what he was saying was when he was talking about, do I just do this for me and my kids, or do I sacrifice, and do it for the greater good? Like the questioning of it. I asked those same questions for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get through to people that all of these people like you and Kemp and all of these people going through this court stuff, like, they're doing it for everybody else. Y'all aren't doing this for yourself.
Yeah, this is service to others. Trust me, I don't want to lose this time with my daughter, not know where she is. You know what I mean?
I don't want to lose this week with my son. I feel bad even just saying that, looking at what you and Kemp are going through.
Yeah, no, you're fortunate. People that have their kids still are really fortunate, Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't change it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't change my decisions, even though, right now, I was having some, serious anxiety because I was trying to do some laundry, and I come across some of Delilah's clothes that I was trying to hang up. And, I had to walk out of the room,
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't change it because...
The failing started about 10, maybe 15 years ago. The truth is, Todd, I used to knock meetings like this out of the park.
And what changed?
You. Students sitting across from me.
Because we're more shrewd, because we see how things work, because we don't want to die for these pieces of shit.
Because you want to put as much distance between yourself and the real world as possible. And these pieces of shit, by the way, how many times are you going to say that? They bank on your apathy. They bank on your willful ignorance. They plan strategies around it. They try to figure out how much they can get away with because of it.
So blame me for it all. Blame me, because I might just want to live the good life, because I can, because I'm smart enough to. You're going to blame me because I don't want to work elbow to elbow with you on a goddamn collective farm? Doc, you are sounding a hell of a lot like my parents. They're always harping on how they're giving me a better life than they ever had. And then they resent the shit out of me because I got the nerve to enjoy it.
Todd, what good is a $90,000 Benz? There's not only not enough gas in the tank, but the streets and the highways are decaying to the point of becoming third world. If all your rants about Congress and politics are true, Todd, if things are really bad as you say they are, when thousands of American troops are dead and more are dying every day, probably as we speak, you tell me, how can you enjoy the good life? Rome is burning, son. And the problem is not with the people that started this. They're past irredeemable. The problem is with us, all of us, who do nothing, who just fiddle, who try to maneuver around the edges of the flame. And I'll tell you something, there are people out there, day to day, all over the world that are fighting to make things better.
You think it's better to have tried and failed than failing to try, right?
Yeah.
But what is the difference if you end up in the same place?
At least you did something.
Thank you for coming back out here with us again and joining this conspiracy. If you are watching this video, it's necessary for you to come and join this conspiracy. Obviously, we haven't gotten Kemp out yet, if you are watching this video. And time is running out. Time's running out. I'm tired. I'm making this Sunday night before I head up there. I'm tired. I'm sure Kemp's tired. I talked with him today, so he's okay. his son's birthday is on Father's Day, so we really can't let our father down on this one. If you wish to have rights in the future, you should come to Tennessee. And should we accomplish this in Tennessee, we got some really cool things planned. Valerie, VO is coming up to North Carolina. So if you're in North Carolina and you support VO, you should come over to Tennessee and support us so that the people in Tennessee will come up to North Carolina to support VO in July. If we do not start working together and sticking with one another, they're going to take everything. They're going to administrate everything right out from under you. Okay? And right now, you have a choice to choose which law this country is going to move forward with. Are we going to move forward with the natural law of man, the natural law of the land? Or are we going to move forward with their administrative procedure and they're just going to beat you over the head if you don't consent to being a slave? And if you're letting those numbers on YouTube convince you not to come because, only 200 people watch this, you should think about it this way. You could be one of the 200 people that change the world. I don't believe those YouTube numbers, and I'll tell you why. For me to believe those YouTube numbers, I would have to believe that I didn't really gain any viewers or subscribers during breaking down how the government works, how judges can't judge you, what happened in Sierra's case where the state just stole her children, what happened in St. Louis, Missouri, and what happened in Tennessee. I guess I just must really suck at making videos, or really, I just do an awful job at talking to people's heart, if those numbers are true. But if those numbers are true, and you're hearing this, you are the revolution. You are the only way this place is going to change. This is the last chance for a lot of people. And I can't even believe that this is happening. I mean, it's like back in 2014, the federal government showed up to a ranch in Nevada, killed a couple of cows, and so many people disseminated onto Nevada that the interstate was backed up for 3 miles. People came out and pointed guns at federal officers, at police officers, over cows. We're not even asking you to do that. We're just asking you to stand for rights. How many farmers, how many ranchers are there in this country? How many people are in this country that are having their children taken away from them? Or are getting their parental rights incredibly limited because of the courts? How many parents are in this country? If we can't get enough people to get the courthouse down there to uphold law, because I'm going to tell you right now, the law is gone. And if we can't pull this off, it'll stay gone. It'll stay gone. And it's up to you to choose which law that you're going to move forward with in the future. Whether you're going to move forward with true law or you're going to move forward with the incredibly complex, intricate statutory system that these demigods have set up for you. Look at what happened in Nevada. And if Americans can come together to do that, and we can't come together to uphold this father's rights, what you are telling the Creator is that there is a such thing as a holy cow. Because apparently Americans believe that cows are more precious and more sacred than children or your right to be a family. Look, since April, May. I don't know. It's been a crazy couple of months. Anyways, I've had a couple of videos talking about maybe no more videos. I'm telling you right now, if we don't pull this off, there are no more videos. There are no more videos. The only reason I'm here is because a man pulled a gun on my wife when she was pregnant, and I learned how to go do law. Because some things are just too personal to allow an attorney to take care of. And when they didn't uphold law for me, I figured that I would get other people to have law upheld. They don't really let you move at common law actions unless it's against another individual, like man on man, mano a mano. They don't got no skin in the game. And even then, they make it incredibly difficult because they don't want you to know that you have that kind of power. And if you don't exercise it, you've already lost it. For all you people who are all big on your Second Amendment, if you don't come and help this man who fought for your rights to bear arms, if you don't come help him have his right to be a dad, go ahead and turn in all of your firearms because they're going to be useless. I can't believe what's going on. I don't know if there's a conspiracy to continue. I made this video before I started on Andrew's little series, so that might help fill in the gaps for some of y'all. This is a for real court case out of Missouri. These people are putting their lives on the line. They're putting their families' lives on the line. They're risking never seeing their children so that you can know the truth. And if I can't prove to you, if I haven't proved to you how corrupt and how backwards and how lying the courthouses are and how they just don't respect law and rights and the truth anymore, I don't know what else to say. And if you don't find it worth your time to come and help Kemp, nobody's going to find it worth their time to come and help you. And the thing that I find really, really interesting, the common thread between Kemp and Andrew Tickle, is that I feel like the thing that the court hated the most about them is how much faith they had in true law and the Creator's law. How much faith they had in me. It takes a lot of faith in somebody knowing that you're doing the right thing to walk into a courthouse knowing you're going to get arrested. Believe me, I know. My name's Jonathan David Cross. Jonathan means a gift from God. My mom was going to name me Skylar until the day I was born. Until the moment I was born. She said, that's not Skylar, it's a Jonathan. David, the name of a king. It's also my father's name. It also means a highly enlightened prophet. A really good friend. Spiritual warrior. And Cross is pretty self-explanatory. I'm here doing my father's work. Take that for what it's worth. But when I go up to Tennessee, they might make me into a martyr. Y'all won't ever hear this stuff again. And for all of the judicial officers who have done wrong in the past, up till this point, I've been told to tell you all your sins will be forgiven. After this point, they won't. So don't run over law. And you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, It's always darkest right before the dawn. And if you really cannot make it to Tennessee, you can make it. You should. No matter what it costs. I'm having to borrow money and a car to go there. If you really can't. Really can't. At least call. Ask if they've ruled on that writ. Ask them what's going on. Ask the courts if they've released Kemp yet. Ask the high clerk how come they're allowing the executive branch to execute a non-executable order, an unlawful order. At least do that. And thank you for everybody who's been on this journey. I hope you enjoy this video. It might be the last one you ever see from me. How's it going? More people going to court, more children get taken. Let's see what that treatment plan is. Not parenting plan, treatment plan. Now, it's my personal opinion that most people do not understand the English language that they are speaking. Okay? So let's just look up this word, treatment. Management, manipulation, manner of mixing or combining, decomposing, and the like. Management, you mean like administrating my family, like managing my family and manipulating my family in a manner of mixing or combining? And that's kind of like what you're doing at court too, huh? You're mixing, combining administration, the world of the living with the world of the dead. Those administration courts are only for corporations. See, that's the government's actual job of administration. Is that they're supposed to administrate the corporations to keep the corporations from screwing you. How good of a job are they doing at that? But it's the government, we gotta listen to them. What propaganda. Let's see what this treatment plan entails. Okay. Skills to keep children safe. A constant concern during the visitation was children venturing away from the family. On multiple occasions, I monitored both children as I'm sure they meant multiple occasions, but their grammar is horrible. I mean, they graduated law school? That should tell you how good the legal education system is in this country, huh? You see, because it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a business practice. Alright, where was I? On multiple, I monitored children as they ventured into the parking lot of the park without their parents. You mean you just watched them do this? And you didn't act like an adult and go keep them safe? And you work for the state to keep children safe? See, this is why I just don't trust them that much, you know? Okay, now, parenting skills necessary. I believe both parties would benefit from parents' education, but to split the parties up given the argumentative nature of the parties today, given the circumstances, it is not possible. What? That doesn't even make sense. Point 3. I do not believe parents' actions were appropriate during today's visitation. While she may be frustrated with children's division, that is not something the children need to be aware of. Her job as their parent is to shield them from conflict and assure her children can be confident in any situation. Wow. Wow. Okay, so you mean like because they've been jumping through your hoops for a couple of years and now they're fed up and they're getting upset with you and showing you attitude, it's a problem. They're not just paying all your fees anymore. They're not just like, hey, where's the next parenting class I can go sign up for to not get my child back? I wonder why. And they should be shielding their children from you. You know what? Americans should be shielding the children from you because you people in the legal society are acting like children. And you can't even, write literature that well. This isn't even poetic. Most of it sounds made up to me. I'm just gonna watch a child go wander off into a parking lot. What's wrong with you? And then you go on to say that the mom's acting like a 2-year-old. The mom's acting like a 2-year-old at the park in front of the children because they're fed up with your system. I don't blame them. I think you're the one acting like the 2-year-old, whoever wrote this document. Important information and facts. During the visitation, so this is important information and facts. Additionally, during the visitation, Gus walked up to a pit bull as it and its owner was walking. Actually, it would be were walking because there were 2 of them. If it was one of them, it would be was. But, I didn't graduate freaking law school. To be honest with you, I didn't graduate high school. And I know this. Oh, where is it? Okay. So the owner and the dog are walking through the park. And Gus goes up and begins petting the dog, because their grammar is awful. While we are fortunate dog was not aggressive, Mom was at the other end of the park, and it took myself and an employee, Chelsea, to remove Gus from the situation. This should be all of the things that you need, like the fact that this flew in court, these statements flew in court, should tell every single American we're in trouble and that they can just take your kids and make some stuff up. And let me tell you something. There have been a lot of cases where CPS workers have got caught lying in court and no appellate court, to my recollection, has ever published an opinion saying it's unlawful, that they can be held accountable for it. Does that tell you something? Alright. So, let me also break this other thing down. You see, dog is God spelled backwards. So, he went up and he pet a dog. A D-O-G, a G-O-D, right? And the dog's not even aggressive because pit bulls were actually bred to protect children. So it doesn't surprise me that the dog wasn't aggressive. But the dog wasn't aggressive, but this woman who worked for the state, it took her and another adult
to pull a happy child away physically from petting a happy dog. Think about that. I mean, this is what they're saying. We pulled a happy child away from a happy dog, but you should take the children away from the loving parents because they don't know how to parent. Are you really that stupid? I don't think you are. All right, recommendations. Let's see what they say for recommendation, okay? I am extremely uncomfortable with the argumentative dynamics occurring in front of the minor children in this case. Then I got a great idea for you. Why don't you just return them home? Like, if you're that uncomfortable with it, why don't you just give them back and solve all the controversy? Because the controversy, in my opinion, is the fact you took them in the first place. And maybe we could do something about this if we actually had a real court of law. But we all know we don't have a real court of law because you all saw Kemp. He can't file an action in law. You don't need anybody's permission to file an action in law. You see, if you have a right, you don't need permission. It's like, what are the 5 reasons why I have the right to own a gun? I don't need a reason. There you go. Okay, I don't need a reason. If you needed a reason, it wouldn't be a right. It would be an argument. Alright. So, upon arrival to visitation, Dad looked at me, pointed his finger with foster parents and children present, and stated, "I do not submit to your authority." He doesn't have to. I don't view myself as being authoritarian in this case. Well, since your grammar's so horrible, and most people who are watching this probably didn't know what treatment meant, let's see what authoritarian means. Favoring imposed order over freedom. Like imposing a court order over having a family be free from the state. That is almost very definition of authoritarian. And you don't see yourself as being authoritarian in this case. Well, I think that's just about all I gotta read about that. To understand all I need to understand about that. That's a joke. And they're taking their kids. And they've had attorneys before. They got rid of attorneys not too long ago. Finally trying to walk the path of the man, the creator. They're like, forget this state statute stuff. Let's go see what that guy's got for us. Because he gave us these little bundles of joy. I just can't even believe it. They get them, they pack them all in like animals. They herd them all in. And you can see the sheriff's not usually at a small court like that. There that day. I wonder if the NSA knew we were talking on the phone. Just herding people around like cattle. And Americans let them get away with it. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Your grandparents would be. Let's check out this governmental document. Renewed appeal from experts in child welfare, juvenile justice, and child development to halt the separation of children. See, they were in a juvenile justice court is what I call it, or what they call it. I don't call it that. I call it a juvenile kidnapping court, probably. You know, it's kind of like my little man in training said. We should probably just see whatever they call it and call it the exact opposite, and then we might get it right sometimes, you know? That little man in training, smart. The separation of children from their parents to deter migration or to punish migration will have significant and long-lasting consequences for the safety, health, development, and well-being of children. See, they know all of this stuff. The Department of Human Health and Services bears the responsibility of caring for the traumatized children and finding suitable alternative caregivers. The children could remain in government care for months or more than a year, during which time the continued separation from their parents would compound their trauma and the time it would take them to recover and return to a trajectory of good health and normal development, nor does it make any sense to require the children to participate in any formal legal proceeding about their immigration case while separated from the parents who brought them here and who have critical information or the only information about the child's claim for protection. What, you mean parents have the only information about claiming their child's protection? For real? For real? You're just figuring this out? Oh my God, somebody grew a brain somewhere. There is overwhelming evidence that children need to be cared for by their parents to be safe and healthy, to grow and develop. Wow! I bet somebody who graduated college had to have written this. Because that was a really intelligent statement. And they even got the grammar correct. Likewise, there is ample evidence that separating children from their mother or fathers leads to serious negative consequences to children's health and development. You think? Did you get a political science degree to figure that one out? Family unity is a Family unity is a foundational principle of child welfare law. In order to grow and develop, children need to remain in the care of their parents where they are loved, nurtured, and feel safe. Thus, parents' rights to the care and custody of their children are afforded particularly strong protection under the U.S. Constitution. While parent-child relationships are generally the province of state law, federal law also recognizes the principle of the family unity by providing strong incentives for states to keep children with their parents and to provide services to families to prevent separation and maintain family unity. What a joke. Ha. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, where I'm explaining what true law is, you saw Justice Scalia, and he said, some institutions are just, well, they're too sacred to create legislation over, not laws. I would argue with him on that one. And I would win. Believe me. Okay, so, yes, the family unit is far too important to create legislation over. And what they were just saying there is that, yeah, you're afforded a whole lot of rights under the U.S. Constitution. And this is what I keep talking about with people, that if they can take your children, they can take everything you have. All of it. Because your children are the most sacred things you could ever have. And if you give those children to somebody else, it's not that sacred. Okay? Now, then they go on to say that the state government controls the local families within the United States. Okay, now the state government creates these administrative processes that rip children away from their parents, just like that document was saying was awful to do. And then the document went on and said, well, the federal government gives a lot of incentives to the states to create this legislation. Because, you see, the federal constitution doesn't apply to the state. The state's constitutions do. And, you know, any attorney who knows what articles of incorporation are because they graduated law school knows about this. So, under the federal constitution, under federal case law, your right to be a parent and raise your offspring is more sacred than your right to property. In the state, they create these administrative courts where you don't have any rights, where documents like what I just read to you fly, and nobody even swears to them under oath or affirmation. Never mind the penalty of perjury. That's what people don't understand when they go and sue these CPS workers for perjury. They're not committing perjury because they're not actually in a court of law. Just like the judge said, we're not going there. Is this a court of law? We're not going there. We're not going to the law here, boy.
We have been infantile for the last 2 years. Now we are a man and woman, and now we know we are not those persons we were before, nor are they here, and we require the return of our offspring.
Okay. All right. That'll be overruled. Anything else?
Is this a court of law?
We're not going here. We're not playing this. Anything else we have today?
No, sir.
We're going to the plantation here, boy. Better get in line. You better not get upset and let your children know you're upset and get all the other slaves upset. You better be a good slave. Or what? You're gonna take my children? So, sincerely, Adopt American Network, Adoption Exchange Association, Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. Every child matters, and there's a big list of this. But, you know, I just bring up the adoption things because, of course, they're going to sign this. They don't want to flood the market with other children. They're like, we got to try to create some scarcity. And let me tell you something about the legislation about the federal government for incentivizing the state. That legislation, within that legislation, it actually states that the state will not get more money unless they take more and more children. And it doesn't say that. It doesn't say it like that. It says unless they adopt more and more children out, but they have to take more and more children to adopt them out. So really, what it's saying is that they have to take more and more children, which is why it's becoming a real problem. All right, here's the other thing is that I would like to show you that Missouri signed on to this as well. Missouri Foundations. You know, Alliance for Childhood Education, Foster Adopt Connection, One Hope United. You just don't bring legalities into certain situations. And the family unit and the court unit is one of them. And if every single Christian is not upset in this country right now after hemp has been denied a Bible 3 times, I don't know if anybody's called and made sure he has a Bible, because when everybody calls and they ask about the Bible, it's always like, that's not my department. It's not my job. It's not my job. It's just my job to lock them up and keep them locked up. But see, even the people that lock people up and keep them locked up, they don't even do their job, because the 2 people with Jeffrey Epstein that were supposed to be watching him when he hung himself, allegedly, they got all the charges dropped as long as they do 100 hours of community service, from what I understand. So the people who are doing their job, they're not even doing the job they're supposed to be doing. And everybody's just okay with it. It's not my fault. This is the legislature's fault. It's not my fault. This is the judge's fault. It's not my fault. It's the cop's fault. When are you guys going to grow up and take responsibility? And I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about the American people. Like, when are you going to grow up and say, hey, you know what? I can just do the job better myself? I mean, honestly, my little man in training is about to go into the 4th grade, and I would trust him to make better decisions in law than most impersonating judicial officers who have graduated with a law school degree and practiced for years. You want to know why? Because he has a conscience. That simple fact alone. That's it. Anyways, they want to take our children. They want to take migrants' children. More people seem to be fighting for migrant children to be placed back with their parents than our own. Pretty insane world. I'll keep up with the Phillip Kemp story. Keep watching. Day by day. Think about this. Think about what I said about picking your father. And Father's Day is on June 20th. The summer solstice. The sun. You think that's by accident? If you're watching this, please share this with everybody you know. Everybody. It's necessary for everybody to be in on this. You know, when Trump got out of office, people were talking about creating a 3rd political party. Well, guess what? That created Nazi Germany. What we got to do is we don't have to create a political party. We have to create a political society. One political society that works for everybody, and that way it's like not as much division. It's not that hard. All you gotta do is make sure nobody gets hurt. I do that every day of my life, and when people get hurt, not because I hurt them, I see people get hurt very often. Anyways, I am just conspiracy, and I just wish to conspire with all good people of this planet to leave a better world for future generations than the world we grew up in. And I wish to conspire to get Kemp out by Father's Day so that I can honor my father. I wish to conspire to get Angie's D-Love back. Make sure Mimi Epstein gets her little one back as well. Make sure the government just quits stealing little ones. And if you can't get down with that, you're heartless. 1.